From the roots of Africa's voice, we rise with power, purpose, and choice. In every code, in every dream, the future is ours, the vision supreme. Until Africa, till the thoughts the land, building bridges hard to have. Through the fires of thought we saw, together we lead forevermore. This is the Africa Global Hour, where knowledge meets culture, and Africa's future takes shape.
Good evening, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to Fireside chatting. So if you're glad to be here, let's see your emojis. Let's see your reactions to being in from the Fireside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And this is the 13th edition. Let me see your reactions. And before we kickstart, don't forget to share the link. Don't keep it to yourself. This conversation is a very important one, and we want everyone to be part of it. So please, we would like to welcome all our participants across Africa and around the world. Please know that today's session is being recorded. Kindly keep your microphone muted throughout the session. If you have questions, simply drop them in the chat. We'll take them during our Q&A session. So we're about to commence our important conversation that affects every one of us. So once again, good evening to everyone. Welcome to the FTLAfrica Global Hour Fireside team. Today's conversation is one that has become increasingly important in today's digital world. And our team is AI, fake news, and elections. Now, big question. Do you trust what you see? For decades, people believe that photographs, evidence, videos, presenting truth, audio recordings improve authenticity. But today, artificial intelligence can generate videos, people saying things they never said, images of events that never happened, only recording with their sound complete behavior. News articles written by machines, social media campaigns designed to manipulate public opinion. This presents one of the biggest questions for our generation. And the question still stands. Can we still trust what we see? And more importantly, how do we protect truth, democracy, and public trust in an AI-powered world? Tonight, will we explore these questions and discuss what Africa must do to prepare for an era where information itself has become a battlefield. Now, let's talk about a little bit about FTLAfrica. For those joining us for the first time, FTLAfrica exists to make every African globally job ready in AI responsible leadership. I believe Africa's future will not be built by consumers of technology. It will be built by creators, innovators, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and ethical leaders. That's why we created the AI Vanguard Quest training ecosystem, a structured learning journey designed to help Africans develop practical skills, solve real problems, and compete together. Every fireside conversation, as we have all enjoyed it from Fast One, is designed to expose our community to the ideas, leaders, and innovations shaping Africa's future. So, if you don't mind, I guess you're ready as we introduce our guest. Don't waste time. Let me see your ovations. Let me see your reactions, your emojis. You know how we do it in the Fireside. It's my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guest, Olufemi Adenitan. He's a lawyer, researcher, and development consultant with extensive experience spanning premier governance, humanitarian service, and international development. His work focuses on innovation, governance, sustainable development, and building practical evidence-based solutions to compete on complex social challenges. Throughout his career, he has worked across legal practice, policy research, governance, and international development, helping organizations and institutions strengthen governance, resilience, and sustainable growth. His interdisciplinary background allows him to bridge research, law, innovation, and public policy to address some of Africa's most pressing challenges. Today, he joins us to discuss one of the defining issues of our digital age: the intersection of AI, information integrity, governance, and democratic trust. Please, the FTLAfrica ecosystem, all our participants, join me as we make welcome. Let me see the reactions, let me see the love, let me see the flowers. Let it keep coming. Let it keep coming. Let it keep coming. Let it keep coming. If I don't say enough of it, we're not going to use it. Let it keep coming. Let it keep coming. Let it keep coming. The drum roll. Then we'll bring him up. Please help me welcome a wonderful man, a legal practitioner, Olufemi Adenitan. Squad. Please. You're welcome to join us. It's good to have you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and our audience. My name is Olufemi Adenitan. It's a pleasure being with you today.
Thank
So,
you so much.
yes. So let me know when you want me to start, right? So we could have this conversation.
Awesome. Great. So, guys, get ready. What we'll do first before we proceed, I would like you to do one last thing. Share the link to this event. Get everyone around you. Tell someone something is going down right now. You have someone in the building that is breaking it down for every one of us, and we're going to have a very deep conversation. Please don't keep it to yourself, and we'll continue on this conversation. Good to have you, Olufemi Adenitan. I think I pronounced it mistakenly earlier. Please forgive me for that.
Yes.
So, great. Good to have you. And we would like to start with something. It's about people's perspective today.
Yeah.
Many people know you today as a lawyer, researcher, and development practitioner. But can you tell us about your journey and what inspired your interest in governance, innovation, and public policy?
All right. Thank you so very much, everyone. And for everyone joining today, yes, it's good. It's good to be part of this kind of conversation we're having today. Again, my name is Olufemi Adenitan. Initially, my goal was not to be a lawyer initially. I wanted to be a political scientist. So I had a first degree in political science. That was my very first undergraduate degree. And then I think was in the final section when I had one professor who came to teach international law, right? So, and that was, I think his name is Professor Alade Fawoli then, and he was teaching about reprisal, retortion, when he talks about in international law, and he made some remark about certain disciplines are not meant for lawyers, right? So to me, I felt one of it was challenged because initially I was like, okay, so what's the big deal about being a lawyer, right? Or reading law. So just immediately when I finished from the university, went to service, I got the D from my dad. I found myself in the University of Ibadan. So I read law there, and shortly after, I got a scholarship to study my master's at Erasmus University in the Netherlands. All right, so the journey was still very good. So we came back, finished the law, went to law school, and then I went straight up, like started an NGO. Then we started doing some of our activities. Then I got also entangled with a concept, an European concept, which I will be discussing with some of you guys who might find it interesting. Perhaps somebody may want to maybe pursue a PhD and all of that. You might find it interesting. So that was what I did my PhD on, was rethinking responsible innovation for Africa. So everything all sits within the broader context of innovation, governance, responsible governance of innovation, vis-a-vis the AI conversation we are going to have today, and all of that things, right? So again, like I said, responsible innovation is a very growing concept, which I think you get a lot of funding in that area for those who would be much interested. It's kind of an innovation, which kind of a concept which is being pushed by the European Commission and even the UKRI to promoting innovation, and to see that innovation aligns with social ethics, it meets societal expectations and vis-a-vis kind of issues. So again, that was how I gradually shifted from just being a core political scientist. Now I became a lawyer. So I transited again from being a lawyer. Then I found myself in the innovation space, right? So some will say, but more of, I'm kind of interested in management of innovation to ensure that what the society expects is what they get, right? So not, as against the traditional position as to how to verify information. Remember what we talk about, this AI, right? So before now, we need an expert to perhaps verify certain information for us. But with the coming of AI now, everybody is maybe from the room, you could do all sort of things and generate information, and then we may not be able to maybe determine what is the authenticity of certain kind of information. Again, don't let me digress too much. It's good to have most people here to participate in this conversation today, and I think I will leave it like that, and then let's make it more interactive, perhaps. Over to
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You see, it's already getting, I guess you already can see we have someone, a very resource person in the building. And don't keep the link, as I said earlier on, share it. As you heard him say, something is coming. Something's already cooking already. Share it with someone to come and be part of the conversation. So thank you so much. So yeah. Now we'd like to continue this conversation by talking about it's something I would like to know if we would like to know about. Throughout your career, you have worked across law, research, material work, and development. Now, the thing is, how these different experience, like you mentioned now, you're now in innovation, shape the way you think about technology and society?
Well, that's a good one. Shortly after, because my PhD, I actually did that in England, a school called University of Exeter. So shortly after coming around, then I joined an organization called the British Red Cross. Some of you might know it. Became a manager there, and again I started seeing innovation at its core, right? Because in everything we do, you can't actually discontinue, or you can't actually detach innovation from the way we do things. I think it is integrated. Innovation process or technology is integrated in perhaps everything we do these days, right? So even be it biotechnology, be it synthetic biology, um, come to think about it, even in election governance, right? So you need AI, perhaps even, I think section 30, section 60, 63 of the Electoral Act also make reference to these provisions about even in the elections, right? So yes, over time, I have come to assume and see how innovation has maybe gradually taken its roots in everything we do, perhaps even in organizational context, and also in the real world generally. So yes, again, but my particular emphasis will be about the responsible deployment of innovation so it can have the positive intended outcomes that we look forward when we talk about innovation, right? So when we talk about technology, even if we are talking about application in an organization, for instance. All right, so let's not maybe speak more in abstract terms. Let's talk about more of circular economy, for instance, right? So if circular economy in an organization, remember, many organizations talk about periodic subsistence, where even if you see you are trying to maybe AI doors, for instance, AI detection, security systems, even the circular economy we are talking about is ensuring that those things within your organization are maybe properly well regulated within that context, and it does you don't have the process of maybe throwing away things and all of that. So the ability to reuse, those are the kind of a concept, right, within that organizational setting. So when we move, when we take a shift maybe beyond that, we look at even from the more of even the agricultural space, right, agricultural sector, we see that the application of technology is even there to, in order to accelerate food security, perhaps, right? So we see that there's an interconnection between how organizations should consider technology in order to make its objective and its goals of those firms more achievable, more to get more desired outcomes. So again, you can't detach technology from the current 21st century way of organizational setting, right? So that's just my take within that context, right? So we could go on and on and on, maybe to put it further in context, but I will leave that so that you could moderate that conversation better.
Yeah. So, because it's posed to the fact that if we don't pay attention to the direct and indirect impact of technology, we will be missing out quite a lot. Now, yeah. I'm talking from Africa now.
That's correct.
Now this now leads to me now wanting to know, when did you start paying attention to artificial intelligence and its application to just everything, governance? You made reference to agriculture now, to just everything, and democracy that we're talking about right now.
All right. So again, I would perhaps maybe in the course of our Q&A, we would get maybe further input to see some people what they are actually up to, so we could maybe put this in context. So because one thing I was working on is about responsible innovation within the context of there's a framework which we use then. It is called anticipation. We call it inclusion, which is the second layer. Then the other one is called reflexity or reflexivity, and the last one is called responsiveness. So we seem like particularly the anticipation is perhaps from the whole idea of stakeholders, including you and I. We are anticipating what is our perception about when certain innovation is being deployed into the society. I say this because this is some of the maybe the snapshot or some of the insights from my research, right? So what are the things that you sitting down there or you listening to me now, what are the things that you expect certain innovation to give? that the innovation you are expecting does not have that capability to do, right? So how then do we authenticate whether certain information is true or is false? Or how can certain information, or which we, in terms of the anticipation, what do we really look forward to in that context, within the broader context of a certain technology that we are looking forward to see, maybe to see its benefit to society, perhaps. I give an example again that, let's say, for instance, in those people within the agricultural, if you are in this group, let's say nanotechnology, let's say biotechnology, for instance, let's say genetic modified crops, right? So what are the things that you look forward to in that context, right? So that's anticipation. Remember, I was talking about the 4 layers, right? The 4 levels, the 4 dimensions, right? So the other one I also looked at is about inclusion. Inclusion was perhaps in the innovational cycle is around including everybody. In this conversation you and I are having today now, everyone is included. No one will be left out, because in the end, your contributions would be important. Feedback contribution would be considered to strengthen this dialogue. Then reflexivity seems to look like a mirror, holding a mirror on itself. And the last layer is about responsiveness, right? So ensuring that stakeholders and innovators are responsive to what the society wants from them, right? So science innovators should not give us what we don't expect or what we don't want. It is what we want from, remember the conversation around 3G, 5G, right? How the people were, there was a disconnect between what the people expect from the scientists and what they were giving. And there was another thing we have also realized is that there's a kind of a missing link. Scientists don't communicate with the public. There's no more because scientists just go, they do their innovation, they don't communicate with the end users. And that's why you see people resist scientists when they come up with innovation over time, right? So remember, I give you a final example before I allow you to hold the floor. I was in Arizona, that was in the United States, right? And somehow along the line, I wanted to make a booking of an Uber, right? So then I saw an app which gave me a self-driving cars, right? A self-driving car. So there was no driver in it. Particularly, the car came and I make an order, the car came and then we entered. So the question again around innovation is around how then do you use that kind of technology that I witness in America. Now, if that same technology was to be deployed in the city of Ibadan, or let's say in Akwa Ibom, how then would that really maybe go well in terms of considering our own contemporary challenge, our own challenges, particularly in developing country, right? So we need to look at this kind of broader conversation around. So that's just how perhaps, I'm sorry if I'm not within track, but I just want us to.
It's perfect, because actually this is exactly what we because we also have a track in our AI Vanguard Quest ecosystem global program, which is called the AI ethics and responsible innovation. And currently we're talking about the dark or the closed box and the glass box. What exactly talking about when information is just like from the scientists from point of view now, where you don't get to know what actually happens, and you release a product or a system to the broader society and expect them to adopt it, not minding the fact that their place or their role in that entire flow or process is very important. And that's why we need to build systems that is around the user. I don't like using the word user because maybe I know understand the background of where that word came from. Around the customers, around the people using it. Are you getting me now? So I think you're very. This is actually what this conversation is actually going to build. We are building momentum, and thank you very much for bringing up this. And because right now, knowing the fact that this conversation today is focused on fake news, from your perspective, Why has the misinformation become a major challenge in today's world?
All right. So, why have misinformation become a major challenge is because maybe lack of, you see, I would like to look at this from the governance of, again, we have the certain enabling instrument that different, particularly Nigeria, has enacted against maybe fake news and misinformation and all of that. So it's around, again, the quest for people to maybe pass out information to people, to the end users, and the inability for certain persons to authenticate or to verify which of the information is true, right? Which of the information is not true. And for this, it has also led to the public perhaps leaving them with their own ability or inability to now determine what information to believe and not what information to believe. Remember, certain times you might find different kind of conflicting information around maybe certain political figures. Maybe if you see, for instance, there was a time when we had that President Buhari passed away sometimes even before he died, right? And there was a certain alleged circulating image and videos showing that his body was perhaps buried in Saudi Arabia, and there's certain new figure, I think Jubri or all of that was parading himself and as the new Buhari, right? So you see, in as much as we are in the age of technological revolution, so also we will continue to witness this pocket of challenges that has to come with it. It's just like when a woman is pregnant, the signs of the pregnancy sign must also be part of the whole process, right? So we have come to a period again when Nigeria, but not even Nigeria, or maybe perhaps Africa generally, or the world itself, would continue to witness this kind of challenges that has to come with information and AI and all of that, and how the people perhaps perceive it. So this is just my own position on it, right? So yeah, I'll leave it to you then.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As you can see, the conversation is getting more hotter, getting more deeper. So I would like you to be your brother's keeper. I'm going to say your friend's keeper now. Your brother's keeper. Share the link to your network and make them join this very important conversation, because we will be putting out a lot of information out there so that everyone gets enlightened. So I want us to take a deeper conversation, and I want to look at something called a topic or a theme. I would say it's AI and the new information age. Now, how has artificial intelligence fundamentally changed the way information is created and distributed?
All right. So with the recent development and different AI platforms that is available, right? So it has now given issue of easily to people able to fact check everyone, right? So perhaps if we are speaking now, someone is making any wrong maybe assertion, it is easier for everyone to just maybe go on their mobile and maybe Google search or double check any statement being presented, right? So it has made it easier, right? So today, all organizations are now beginning to embed AI systems or artificial intelligence system within the organizational setting, right? So as such as we have a ChatGPT, we have various AI tools, right? So it has now brought about the issues of decentralization of the technology, right? And ability to have access to it and ability to use. So no one's an island of holding of information as it used to be maybe prior to the 2000s, right? So we are in a new age, we are in a new era, an era where the dissemination of information has now been liberalized, right? So, and it has also maybe facilitate maybe learning, right? So that's just how I want to look at this in order to keep the response very short.
Thank you so much. So in follow-up with that, we'll like to mirror it now from now trying to indicate what information we need to call them the media materials to see how it's causing maybe a negative or positive impact because it's a two-edged sword. What opportunities does this create? What opportunities does this create?
Okay, so there are various opportunities, right? So there are various opportunities that artificial intelligence or technology has created over time, right? It has perhaps given everyone, even within the comfort of your home, right, to learn to use AI tools the way you would want to, right? So I remember my younger brother, right? So he's in the Netherlands and he's actually into one of these senior guys in IT. And I remember the early days when he started using AI tools, right? When he started using a computer, not like when he was. So he learned everything through self-taught. Like I sometimes I reflect, and we have so many of my so many guys I see across the world who actually sat down, and these days you don't really need to speak to anyone. You could just sit down today now and interface with your AI tool, right? Let's even use, for instance, ChatGPT, for instance. If you don't know how to write a good paper, you could actually ask questions, right? Ask feedback. You could talk, you can interact with the tool effectively, and you're going to get a responsible response, right? So that is one of the layer or one of the phase where we've seen AI becoming more user-friendly to persons, right? So for those who perhaps may it has also led to maybe less reliance on human interactions, right? Because the way the world is going more gradually, it has brought to a stage whereby individuals from the comfort of their environment can even build a website using an AI tool, right? I've recently heard about even those musicians who or artists who want to maybe get beats or make beats or do certain things has to do with AI, or you need a perfection. AI could perhaps do that excellently well for you. So come to think about it, those things that were done by when you need to depend on human effort, you would not need human effort. The jobs of a graphic designer, for instance, are over. You don't find, even there, we will get to a period whereby there are so many things, even the newspapers will start fading off, right? So I remember, I'll give you an example. In 2014, I was on this international youth conference as a very young guy in Italy, in Trieste, somewhere in Trieste. And there was a keynote addressed by the Vice Chancellor then, and he addressed us on a youth conference, and he said something that was about, I think, 13 or 14 years ago. I can't remember now. So he said something about AI, right? And he said he was kind of projecting the future in his opening keynote remark, and he said a time is going to come when certain trades or certain disciplines will fade off, and when it fade off, it's going to be like it's going to be like a dream that if those people don't complement on the new trade, they might lose relevance. And that's what we see today. A lot of jobs that you would easily want to rely on other persons, AI has taken its place. I've just given you an instance on graphic designer, even looking at even getting on ideas, right? These days now, you could even ask AI to maybe to write you a paper, right? you could particularly learn from AI too. You could do a lot of things using AI. So that's just how I want. Let's, in order not to maybe keep this very kind of in terms of technical terms, let's just make it more more of interactive, so that our viewers perhaps would have a grasp of the conversation, and we could more interact after these discussions, right? So
yeah, so this now, essentially, it's a two-edged sword. Artificial intelligence is a blessing that, well managed or well used, will not become a curse. But yes, very clearly, we're kind of put out there, because knowing the fact that the wrong artificial intelligence in the wrong hands can become a curse, actually, because we can see what's currently happening around the globe. I don't know if you heard about the recent because FTLAfrica being an AI training ecosystem, we're going to see different case studies, mostly from the AI ethical program, where artificial intelligence being used or manipulated to cause maybe crimes or to give biases, and also to carry out cyber attacks. Now, what we are trying to put in narrative for Africans is this:
all right,
individuals who are responsible with artificial intelligence, because this is going to help us to build the next generation of ethical AI leaders. Just a core view from the conversation.
Okay. Oh, good. So I think at this time, it's try to maybe bring in the legal basis again. So remember, although there was no explicit anticipation in terms of the word AI, in terms of the Electoral Act and all of that, but I want you to understand that the Constitution, the Electoral Act of 2026 actually envisage it, right? So I would want to build in my conversation for there. So there's a certain legal instrument that perhaps recognizes AI or recognizes the responsible use of AI. The Constitution of the Nigerian Constitution also does that, right? Remember, for the fact that something is bad does not invalidate its positives, right? So for the fact that we have some pockets of challenges, demerits about certain things or disadvantages of certain innovation, does not mean we should throw away those innovations. So, like, for instance, I would tell someone who is listening to me or who is looking at becoming someone tomorrow, or becoming a rich person or a business tycoon, an AI investment is one of the stocks that maybe when you buy it, you are certainly going to be at the higher pedestal or in the coming years, right? So
return on investment.
Yes, a return on investment. So again, Section 39 of the Nigerian Constitution also guarantee freedom of expression. Section 14 or sub 2C also participation of people in governance, blah blah blah. So we have certain provisions within the legal instrument, even within the Nigerian context, that balances with the democratic integrity and vis-a-vis responsible use of AI, right? So there's an envisage, there's the Constitution perhaps envisage why we know that the certain lawmakers or certain instruments might want to take citizens' right. Perhaps citizens also have the right to express themselves, right? So it is now what stakeholders would do, perhaps what maybe the other leg of this conversation would do, maybe is to perhaps to start educating citizens around responsible use of AI. Remember, we talked about responsible innovation in the earlier conversation around AI itself, right? So we have certain other instruments within the international phase, the pillars, right? Remember, we have the African Charter on Humans and People's Rights, Article 9, particularly made reference even to that. We also have various other sections. So let me not bore you with particular sections. So, but what we want to say, what I want to say particularly is around the responsible use of AI, that's artificial intelligence, right? Responsible use would have to come with what all policy stakeholders and everyone must be in the whole process of understanding that, realization that technology has come to stay. There's nothing we can do about this. And for us to have a more progressive society, yes, we must use artificial intelligence to our own advantage.
And responsive. So
yes,
that is very key.
Responsive. Yeah, so because people cannot just go around generating videos of someone, putting them in very compromising situation, or they use it unethical, right? So we could see people using people's faces, maybe use them for pornographic purposes, or to impede on their integrity, or to cast aspersion on their personality, right? And we believe that, all right, so we say that it is you are using AI. So the whole conversation around responsible use of every tool available within your disposal, so you don't get shot with any kind of foul use across unethical use of artificial intelligence. So that's just it, right?
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And this now where FTLAfrica comes in, because we believe Africans are not to be consumers. We're not going to just be consumers. We're going to be users. And that's why in the FTLAfrica program, from to all our programs, AI, machine learning, AI cybersecurity, AI data analytics and intelligence, AI ethics and responsible innovation, AI marketing, to all our programs, you get to see we have AI software engineering, we have AI architects. Now, the beautiful thing about this is that in FTLAfrica, we have some of the very finest ethical AI leaders. Because why? We understand from this conversation, we understand the role we play as Africans. Now, because now as you shed more light into this conversation, it's really helping us and everyone to get to understand that from both from the legal background and from the ethical use of artificial intelligence, we all have a major role to play. So I'm going to play a video shortly. So because to take us into our next, to lead us into our next conversation. So it's going to be something that we just explore our mind briefly and open our minds to deepfakes. So it's just specifically.
With AI-driven misinformation threatening elections, how do we distinguish a simulation from reality? We look for deepfake artifacts. Take this viral video of a politician speaking. It looks entirely real, but feels slightly unnatural. Because AI generates video by predicting pixel patterns rather than understanding physical reality, it creates subtle digital glitches where the simulation breaks down. Modern models are incredible at rendering skin texture and general likeness, so a passing glance at the face won't give it away. Instead, isolate the eyes. AI often fails to replicate the irregular physics of human blinking, or it generates pupil reflections that don't match each other. Next, check the lighting. Because the AI doesn't understand 3D space, the shadows on the face won't match the light sources in the background. Finally, look for boundary failures where two textures meet. Hair might unnaturally blend into the background, or teeth might blur into a single solid block. So the next time a shocking video of a politician appears on your newsfeed, don't just trust the general likeness. Look for the physical glitches the AI left behind.
Thank you. So that takes us to our next. I guess we'll all heard that, right? I guess you listened, you got the audio, right?
Yes, I listened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that leads us to our next question, and it's this: AI elections in Africa. Now we know many countries in Africa, many African countries are entering the election cycles. How might AI influence future elections? Should we be worried? How should electoral commissions prepare? And lastly, I think let me just lump everything at once so you can just go around them all together. What responsibilities do political parties and media organizations have in this matter?
Okay, so maybe we'll take it one after the other. The first one is what?
All right. How might AI influence future elections?
Okay, how AI might influence future elections. One, I believe that AI has come to stay. It's going to influence future elections. It can influence political parties in terms of how to disseminate their manifesto, right? It will influence how political parties will be able to influence to push up their manifestos to the public, for the public to decide which of their programs is there, and they can be creative in doing this, right? So, for instance, APC, PDP, or Labour, whichever party comes in, presented in a way that narrates the plight of the people and why the people should swing their certain vote to them, right? So it can also do that even by maybe independently conducting a pilot study on how we could see the voting patterns of persons. Just remember that I think with this Yaga Africa, which I got to hear, they will have a situation, a coalition whereby they will be seeing the pattern of how the votes will be going through, as in the voting pattern. As the people keep depositing from ECA to the IRF and all of that, and we'll be able to see, to compare. So with AI, would even give us a prediction like, oh, right, this is what this person is saying, and this is what the people are saying, and where we are going to be getting our votes from, right? So if everyone were to maybe be involved or to be part of this debate, we can easily run a quick maybe hybrid kind of testing to know or to see or to determine if perhaps, for instance, if Peter Obi would be the best presidential candidate that would route 2027, or whether President Tinubu would continue, right? So there are so much benefits that you could get. So just to keep the conversation very easy, it would be used ultimately to those within certain department of political parties to be able to exploit it to their benefit. And also, it can also be used to rig elections, right? So because if you have some certain group of persons who are experts in the field, they could easily override results, right? We saw that in American elections, right? Until today, President Trump is still crying and is still making strong statements that Russia, China perhaps might have maybe influence or may have maybe rig elections. These kind of things will continue to take its place. So someone can be in, let's say, in England, it could perhaps influence elections in Nigeria. So your vote might not even count anymore if they don't have a very strong back end that could prevent further attacks, right? So remember, every election is subjective, right? So you will not be able to determine whether elections might even be credible, right? So until or unless we have the elections, right? So again, we'll just prepare the Nigerian government. I'm sure that they would have envisaged something like this, and measures must be put in place to prevent from hijack. So there's even hacking. Hacking is very possible, right? You could even hack the system, and right. So depending on, and that's why funding of institutions might be very important. But again, we could perhaps debate this over and over again. But yeah, so this is what it is. Let's leave it there so that we don't. That's the next question.
All right. So thank you so much. And just to quickly say this, we have participants from different African countries. So let's keep the conversation open. So
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
FTLAfrica is an African ecosystem. So thank you very much for bringing that up. Yeah. Yes. The next we need. Yeah, you made mention of something in your last segment that we need to fund institutions, fund the institutions, because this is what we're trying to do in FTLAfrica is to create this strong awareness, and like on the video I just played now, to help us understand the role that this technology that we have today plays, and how to effectively combat it. Yes, for every when technology came, before we are in an era of intelligence, we also had then cyber attacks, phishing, and all of that. But still, that's why we are building a very strong environment. That's why we have to talk about firstly from awareness to now fact checking, then talking about skilling Africans so that they can have developed build framework systems that solves this problem. Because I'll tell you, actually, no matter how you look at it, it's an African problem. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that insight today. So let's look about trust in institutions. When people stop trusting information, what happens to democracy? How can governments build trust in public communications?
All right. So trust transfer trust in its term, right, is the major tenet of democracy. Because democracy, from the simple word, the people's government, right, the government of the people, right? So people must believe in democracy to be able to trust democracy. And what does democracy give to a normal system is about credible elections. So when we don't have credible elections within a political system, so what we say is that the people have lost trust in the system. So why I say Nigerian case study, I've also been privileged to go to Nairobi, to go to Kenya, Rwanda, various other African countries across Egypt, everywhere. But the point is, we have similar problem. I told someone, I was making a statement with someone, that we have similar problem in Kenya. We have similar problem in someone in Mali, in Cameroon. Are you with me? And we have similar problem across. The crux of it is that when we have trust deficits, a trust transfer, how can the government now renew it? The government must renew it by putting in checks, encouraging stakeholders to participate in a transparent process. So there will not be any form of, no one should be left out. And whatever the stakeholders talks about, the transparency and the integrity of the system must count. One, election must not be rigged. Two, we have the ways of our political systems and independent electoral bodies ought to be formed, and the leadership and all of that. So that must be ahead strictly before we could have a credible election. So the system or the government must put these mechanisms in place in order to guarantee free, fair, and credible elections. Without that, the trust deficit will remain there. And sadly, in many African countries, we have seen trust transfer. We've not seen the people don't have trust in the system anymore, and they don't believe that their votes count, because they believe that whether they vote or they don't vote, they believe that those who are the gladiators, those who have hijacked the machineries of the state politics, the machine politics, they already determine the end. The end is already determined from the beginning. So, and that's why people don't, you see that there's a lack of voters turnout. And we see, for a case study of in Nigeria, the Ekiti elections, we saw what happened. We've seen in various other clients, even in Cameroon, Paul Biya, right? He has returned back to office. So we've seen that. So we saw that even in Uganda, Museveni, we've seen that it's going to come. Then even the opposition, we saw what happened to how he ran for his life and all of that. He's currently on exile now. So we've seen various models across Africa. Even the Rwanda we celebrate today, we also know what's going on there, right? Paul Kagame has been there for some time now. And yes, of course, we'll say there are also other people that could do it, right? So we see that within the model of Africa, there have always been the lack of independence or lack of trust that their vote particularly will count. And the model is the same. Like, you could adopt that template and say, without being to maybe Cameroon or visiting Ghana, you could tell me that there's similar kinds of problem. One, because we have been there, and two, we also interact with colleagues from those clients.
So now, if you want to give a recommendation, now with the era of intelligence, how can we either mitigate? Yes, we cannot just erase it. How can we mitigate it?
How can we mitigate it with the era of intelligence, right? So it's part of becoming part of this kind of conversation, right? We have to sustain stakeholders conversation, and we need to kind of enlighten people to understand that the state capture, the elites would not will resist it, and to make people understand that one, we must use the various platforms we have through dissemination of information to them to enlighten the voters, to enlighten the populace on their rights, on how to assess those benefits when it comes to their franchise and during elections time, and what not to expect and what to expect, and how to go about how to protecting their votes, right? So whether we know, because when we talk about revolution, when we talk about changing the system, there's only two ways to change systems. One, through elections, democratic process, or the other one will be through revolution. And I don't think that a lot of people are ready for revolution. But that violent revolution is through violent means, right? You could also use AI to stage revolution. And that can also be like everyone will start understanding, okay, what we are going to do, this is how we're going to do it, right? And whether you like it or not, a time is going to come when either of the two will happen. Because I believe that Nigeria particularly must, not Nigeria alone, Africa generally must liberate itself. Yeah, but Nigeria must lead the conversation, because the population of perhaps Nigeria is maybe 10 times more than so many of other African countries, right? So 200-something million persons we have in Nigeria. So imagine the over 100 million poverty we have, multidimensional poverty. And yeah, so a time is going to come, we have to determine whether we are going to use artificial intelligence to facilitate a peaceful change, or violent change might be inevitable.
This is the conversation is getting hotter. I guess, am I correct? I guess we understand what we're hitting the meat nail on the head now, because our guest is really bringing it really hot, and that is actually what we're currently facing across Africa, and it's just like a copy and paste all over Africa. And this conversation is actually giving us an eye opener for us to understand how we can use intelligence to help us mitigate. Yes, we know it's a process, and as time goes on, we can be talking about developing systems that helps us to actually solve it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I would like to talk about something now. So we understand where the place of law and regulation, and what legal and regulatory gaps currently exist regarding AI generated misinformation. And so, is there any in Africa?
Fundamentally, we have not really maybe have dedicated sections within the Constitution, right, or within to really specify maybe AI in terms of in plain terms, right? So we have certain things that maybe infer from those sections I mentioned earlier. But yes, there will be maybe perhaps maybe when they will review again of the Constitution again, or maybe the Electoral Act that will specifically use the word, the terms, then we will see, right? So what we only have is about the hate speech and the prohibition. I think someone like Omoyele Sowore has been tried. He has an ongoing case with the High Court, Federal High Court in Abuja recently, or around perhaps calling the president a criminal, right? So you see, that is kind of the regulation that For instance, cases like clients like Nigeria, they are adopting to maybe, and some other people have also argued that that is about bringing down free speech, right? So you are trying to curb down free speech versus how you could use AI responsibly, or you could use the internet as a safe space responsibly. So yes, while we have some certain regulations that seems to curb us, seems to bring down people who make comments, or who use words, or you use some words that might be found maybe offensive by authorities. Again, we also believe that the regulation should not be so stringent in its form that would impede on free speech. Again, right? So yes, we do have certain regulations, but within the context of AI itself, there will be some levels of maybe deliberate more effort in terms of having it maybe in clear terms.
Now let's take it a little bit higher. Now we're talking about the context of everyday Africans. What about the involvement of maybe of the big tech in the Western world?
The big tech in the Western world.
Now we all know, though it's not stated in black and white, we all know these persons have their role in every election across the world. Just know that, right? So now are there like policies built by the African government to fight against such situations?
Yes, because you remember I told you that there are certain regulations, perhaps by we have them even UNESCO. We have certain times when there are particular legal instruments. You can't maybe you find it in clear terms in your country, right? Nigeria can also maybe perhaps refer back to certain international instruments that they ratify to those certain provisions, and they can use it within the context of Nigeria. Let's put it more in context. For instance, we have the Kampala Convention, I think of 2009 or 2012 or thereabout, that talks about protection of IDPs, of persons displaced, for instance. Now we've ratified that convention, right, within the as an international instrument. It's now within the context of Nigeria to domesticate that provision, but perhaps it's still not domesticated within Nigeria, right? So because it is until those certain provisions are domesticated within the ambit of the Nigerian side before we could say. But yes, Nigeria do have a policy on AI, right? So AI policy of a national artificial intelligence strategy led, right? So that also itself can serve as a blueprint, right? So we do have certain other, if you like, you can call it enable instruments. We also have the Constitution, which I've talked about. We have even the Nigerian Data Protection Act. We do have that, Cyber Crime Act, all these acts. There are various laws within the context of Nigeria that do capture that. But what I'm saying particularly is that we don't have an explicit one that say, okay, this one is regarding to the context of AI. And yes, though we have the policy around that, but within the Nigerian Constitution, we have not had those explicit terms. But within the context of the European Union, of course, there's an act, right, that seeks to regulate and protect the use of AI, right? And that's where we talked about, this Western society do have a step ahead. And yes, they have a step ahead because innovation, particularly, it came through from within their own context, right? So, and gradually it has moved with the governance and responsible use of such technology. And it is on that basis where the European Commission actually came up with the concept of responsible innovation. Remember, I told you about how when it was, and there's a framework which I talked about, which is, I think, developed by Stigo, Jack Stigo, Philip Marcaton, and Richard Owen. That was in 2013, right? So that was a book, an article titled on how to develop a practice procedure for responsible innovation and governance. So yes, again, we could always use many of those regulations. We could perhaps adopt or copy some of those models and see how it's very effective in Nigerian context or in African context.
Thank you so much. And it was really shedding more light, because this is one of the things we're discussing about. Now, there are, but it has not been explicitly, I would say, implemented or domesticated, because this is the fact that in the African context, or in the African continent rather, we have data laws, but they are not actually being very effective, or they're not working. Let me use that word, don't mind. Because in all we do, there's this kind of we call it, we are sitting ducks to whatsoever happening around us, and that's one of the narrative we're trying to go against. We need to be tightening those loose ends and make our laws concerning the proper and ethical use of data from Africans responsibly implemented and safe for us. So thank you very much. And I would like us to take a very fast track now. So quickly, I would like to talk about the role of media. How should journalists report or respond? So I just want to just hit the nail on the head, but this is something that we all see everywhere. How should journalists respond?
Yeah, so basically the media is like the disseminating information, and the citizens actually rely on credibility or information from the media. So of course, media, the AI tool has be embedded also within the media outlet or media institutions, right? So every media rely on it, perhaps to use it in various day-to-day activities, right? These are these in their news, even in conducting maybe their morning show, right? So many times they use it, right? They talk about any leading station in Nigeria in terms of their presenting, their reportage, in their just to name it, right? So even in their presentation of their story on the print media, they use it as well. They use it. It's integrated into their day-to-day activities, right? So yes, we can't take that off from the media. So yes, but again, we've also had various kind of litigations that have to do with fake news that media houses have been faced with over time, right? So fake news, they generate untrue stories and they implement it, they disseminate it, and then they run into litigation, right? So media houses too must be responsive in the use of AI. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please appreciate our guest, our wonderful guest, as we go for a short break. Please appreciate, let me see your flowers. It's been a powerful, I guess you say, can agree with me, can agree with me no less. It's been a powerful conversation. Let me see your reactions. Let me see your flowers. Let me see them coming. Can you see your reactions? I can't see your flowers. Have you been enjoying the conversation? Yes, thank you. Okay, awesome. Okay, great. Let me see your reactions. It's been a powerful conversation. And as we go for a quick short break and come back to finalize this all important conversation. Thank you so much. So quickly, the conversation is about skills and also how lives have been transformed via the FTLAfrica ecosystem. Let's take a moment to reflect on this disruption. Our next is the pathway into FTLAfrica AI Quest training ecosystem to build solutions. So now, if you see, we are an ecosystem that's actively built on a proper pathway that's meant to help accelerate the growth of Africans. Let's start from what we call our ecosystem. Our ecosystem is called the AI Vanguard question ecosystem. It's a structural three-tier linear ecosystem that helps Africans become globally competitive with AI and technology. And on the screen, we see our tier one, which is the Nova one, or which is the Nova rather. It's our starting point, build strong foundations in AI, technology leadership, and problem solving. Discover your career pathway through hands-on project and mentorship. Then our tier two, which is you can see is called the Ascend, is develop deeper technical expertise, work on more advanced projects, specialize in your chosen AI technology pathway, prepare for real world challenges. Now, the last one, which is the comment, highest, which is the accelerator or the professional program, is designed for experienced professionals who have gone through the process of the FTLAfrica AI Vanguard Quest program, and now they want to become founders, innovators, and leaders who want to scale solutions built by them, lead teams, build AI-driven organizations, and create leading and lasting impact across Africa. This is where technical expertise meets leadership, innovation, and execution. So currently now, we have the number 8 program just launched over the weekend. And right now in class, we have number 7 students who are currently in class. Application for number 8 are now open. So registration ends on September 8th, 2026. So on the chat, you see the link to join the program. So through Nova, we gain access to 11 AI and technology career tracks, world-class project-based curriculum, Silicon standard level of kind of curriculum we have in Africa, industry mentorship, leadership development, portfolio building opportunities, and a pathway towards global career opportunities. Tuition, guess what, is free. Participants make only a commitment. Why do we have to do so? It's because we want to build the right people. Now, there's a kind of philosophy across Africa when something is gotten for free, they tend to not to build a sense of discipline around it. And that's what the token is meant to do. And guess what? This program, the cost between $1,200 to $1,900 is based on the fact that FTLAfrica has a vision to empower Africans, no matter where they are across the globe, in Africa and in diaspora. The token is meant to give them a sense of responsibility, dedication, determination, and discipline to complete the intensive 8-week program, taking them from 0 to a point where they become leaders in the ecosystem. So take the next step and join the number 8 to begin your AI journey. So this is what we are trying to offer in FTLAfrica. So don't miss this opportunity to join the number 8. Starts the foundation program, which starts with the Nova at your starting point. And this is that's my screen now. It's then scan the code, the barcode on the screen, register for the Nova 8, or you see the link on the screen, click the link /AI Nova 8. That's the link, or you can check the chat board where you see the link to register. To say, I said earlier, rather, the show closes September 8th, 2026. Thank you so much. So we continue our conversation. Our guest is still in the building and we are still ready to fire on. And I would like to bring this up. Now the question remains, that young Africans, they are actually very excited with what AI is doing in the space now. How can they become responsible digital citizens? Because we know the hype around intelligence today. But what do you think? How can they become responsible digital citizens?
Okay, so how can they become responsible digital citizens? I think it's simple. Use the platforms available responsibly, ethically, and sorry, I'm using the word all over again, because
Yeah, it's true.
if you have a certain information and you don't validate, or you because you want to get clicks, you want to get likes, you want to get share, some people can go fabricate certain untrue story about someone. They can fix pictures. They could, because their friends are going, they want the story to go viral or the video to go viral, and they will make some wrong assertion and they'll get themselves into trouble. There are so many stories around people, they are arresting certain people, persons who make some maybe inflammatory statements on personality, and they find themselves in detention or in prison, and they are charged to court. And yeah, so how then do you serve against that? One, stop unethical use of the artificial intelligence to create false and untrue or unguided information, right? So once you do that, that's how the youth might get off it, right? So, but if you must use the tool responsibly, advisable, like you should perhaps use it to your advantage. Perhaps you could use it to even trade, use it to do certain things. I think I've had now with some credible reports that people even use it to even look at the way the stock market is, right? To invest. Yeah. You could use it to conduct even various kind of inquisition, analysis, data analysis, right? You don't need to learn so many tools, qualitative or quantitative tools. AI can even help you do that, right? Data analytical tools, right? So AI is already embedded, makes it more easier for us, right? So that's it. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Please, the audience, we will give room for Q&A in coming minutes from now. So two ways. You can drop your questions on the chat, and also if you would like to speak, we'll be giving 2 persons. Yeah, so you will just speak for like 30 seconds to give your questions, then our guests will answer. So please, you can, when you want to speak, raise up your hands so we can call you, or you drop the questions. As we go ahead on this question before we move to our Q&A. So please, can you drop the questions on the chat box? So now, still on this, on young Africans. So FTLAfrica, via our AI funded question ecosystem, we are skilling, empowering Africans to build systems that are African-centric, understands us, speak our language, know what we do, know that the tool needs to communicate exactly how our culture reflects it. So what skills should young Africans begin learning today? Now, yeah, FTLAfrica, we have 11 AI tracks. What do you think presently that young Africans, not just only in Africa, but across the globe, needs to start learning?
All right, so I personally think there's a whole lot of lists that I think young Africans should get used to, right? But generally, the world generally has gone digital and it has become global. And basically, I say this, that so many times you don't need to be in Europe or in America to get jobs in those clients, right? So, and I think there are various platforms where you could reposition yourself and you could also get those jobs, right? So in terms of the robotics, right, I believe that there are certain things there where you can position yourself, how to use AI for the entertainment industry. And that's an angle where I think it's still not properly explored, mostly in Nigeria. So how then to get trademarks, how then to get how to use it to design certain certain trademarks for organization and all of that. So you could go on and on and on. Even AI in terms of within the context of you could perhaps even use it within your legal profession, because I believe that even lawyers now these days they are using it, and the persons can start developing certain platforms that perhaps address some particular issues that people have identified. It can be in terms of security. Remember, Nigeria is currently battling with what we call it, not even Nigeria, we have many African countries are security challenges, right? So we could think about drones technology and how you could use that to address insecurity, right? We don't have it yet in Nigeria. We are still lagging. So how then do you get investment in those areas? It's another thing, right? If we in this house today, we could come about how we could develop some certain solution, not the one that you go and copy and paste from Europe and bring it to Nigeria. That's what I'm saying. No. If we develop it here, and yeah, we could use AI to combat insecurity. We've not talked about that, right? That's still an area that's yet to be explored. How then do we use AI, for instance, to monitor what do I call it? I think they have this technology anyway from those fossil fuel, like our crude oil.
Okay, yes, carbon emission level.
You can use that carbon emission level at that level. You can even use that within the context of the extraction of our crude oil within Nigerian space generally. Right. Yeah, in the Niger Delta. So yeah, we could do so many things. I'm just saying this often, so I'm not really going to the depth of it. Yeah. While certainly I know that the future awaits African youths. Yeah, but we must begin to think critically. Yeah, so more engagement and more youth must be made to join this journey.
Thank you so much. So if you see my screen, I say you can put your roadmap, or you can from just the nuggets being shared by our guest. Define the problem. He has given you several problems, several case studies to look into. Identify the audience being affected. Research existing solutions, not copy and paste from the Western world. Design your approach, build prototype and awareness campaign, and present your findings. So you can see now we are still waiting for questions, and I would like to see your questions come in. Let me check if there are any questions. All right, okay. So we still have some few minutes for roundup. So we still have, you can still bring in your questions for proceed. So look at my screen, you see AI governance and digital trust. So we've started a conversation based on fake news, how artificial intelligence can be ethically used to impact Africans all across the continent and in diaspora. So in the absence of no question and no one ready to raise up his hand to speak, so we will be coming towards the end by bringing up this last and very important question. Looking ahead, looking 5 years into the future, what concerns do you have? What concerns you most?
What concerns what?
What concerns do you have? And what gives you hope?
Yeah, the concerns I have, what gives me hope? Let me start by hope. So what gives me hope is that yes, the world is going, even despite there's a whole lot of unemployment within the world, Africa particularly. We have the increasing rate of unemployment, and AI has perhaps come to stay in terms of providing employment. A lot of people now going into using AI for content, using AI to trend, using AI for hashtag and all of that. And it has been very, very useful within that direction. And if the youth, perhaps everyone, perhaps continue to leverage on the responsible use of AI, it could be, it has perhaps solved the issue around unemployment across Nigeria, across Africa, right? Again, but the concerns I always have is that we may have become subjective now to verify the right news, because as it is now, there's a whole lot of fake news going around. There's a whole lot of untrue reports. So you may have to verify from multiple sources before you can determine which is correct. And a lot of young persons might find themselves into more troubles if we are not careful, because there are a lot of junks out there, a lot of misinformation, a lot of representation of facts. And for that, it has perhaps impeded the trust system of how we could engage in the use of artificial intelligence platforms that we have. Like, for instance, give an instance, someone who uses AI for academic research exclusively without having to consult his or her brain to do the human impact. So people just believe that because AI is there, let me just go and just type and generate your assignment. I can tell you, I've seen people in Europe who have had their scholarship stripped off because they used AI to write. I've had people whom have had to appeal in terms of the law, but who have used AI to write their thesis and got into trouble, and they could not graduate because we started having a lot of junks, a lot of people who cannot rely on their thinking again, because they just believe that you would. And where AI even say maybe edit this part, they don't even they don't even read it. They just copy and paste even in a hurry. So that is the sad part of what AI has brought about a lot of lazy youth, lazy persons, and all of that. So this is how we have seen the negative effect. People just come and a lot of junk, just copy rubbish and put it up online without verifying. So, but if you do that in Nigeria, in some part of African countries, you might be safe. But if you try that in the West, there's also a stronger machine that can detect when you use
the AI.
The AI. In fact, when you even use fake pictures, when you edit pictures, they can tell you that they flag it down that this is an inauthentic one, and that stronger machine will determine whether you are lying or you are saying the truth, and that might lead to infraction and subsequent punishment. So that's it.
Even in FTLAfrica, we are also teaching something like that similar. Because there's one thing about being the FTL for a long time. You spot an AI work, right? This is one of the things that most of our mentors do. So when you see an AI work, you spot it just by looking at it. You don't need to, because we have mentors who have spent decades in the industry. Now the goal is this: you are using your critical thinking, producing information, because artificial intelligence is meant to be an assistant. Just like you have you have a boss and you have an assistant, or you are a leader and you have an assistant who's working with you or working for you. Are you getting me? So that is exactly what we should be pushing for. And currently now, it's something that I will tell you, it's not that so easy in Africa any longer, because we're now building experts, we're now building skilled professionals, skilled leaders who can now spot. I know one thing about FTLAfrica now. If you generate an AI contest, it will be spotted just on the one and the go, because we've already got the hands so dirty that we know what is AI generated and also authentic content. So quickly, one of our ecosystem members just dropped a question. Don't know if you can take it. So let's just take it quickly. It says, thank you for your knowledge, sir. How can an ordinary citizen distinguish between AI generating misinformation and credible information during elections? That's the next question. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, so I think the easier way to just go about that is around verifying from the source. There's a competent authority that issues out information guidelines and all of that when it comes to elections. For instance, the Independent Electoral Commission, as INEC, right? It has that mandate, and we have it across Africa. That competent body that is saddled with the responsibility to give or roll out information when it has to do with that institution. So you just save yourself that burden of going to their website and verify any information that has been put out there to be sure that it is actually coming from them. Because if it's from the body, yes, you could know that, yes, this is true. And if, for instance, you are getting an information from certain bodies, you will just go to the organization that is competent enough to talk about that issue. You go there, you do just few minutes of your time will help you to double check whether what they are saying is true or untrue. And when it is true, you take the information. When it is untrue, you just discard it. But sadly, many people don't have that time. Once you just see the story, oh, there's something happening in Nigeria now, they can even create an image. People can't even distinguish because they believe that, oh, this is most likely going to be true. So most times what I do is I would go on credible news agencies and I will double check. So you don't be in a haste to click the share button. Because once you do that, you're also contributing in misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. And once you do that, then it's also seen like you are also part of the process that's not making the whole process very responsible. So yeah, so that's what I would just say. We must be different from just the normal people who don't have that knowledge, right? So yeah, so that's how we just put it. Don't let me go too further on it.
Thank you so much for that. So now we about coming to the end of this conversation. Today's conversation reminds us that African intelligence is not simply changing technology. It is changing truth, trust, democracy, governance, and ultimately the future of our societies. The challenge before Africa is not whether AI will shape our future. It already is. The real question is, we develop knowledge, ethics, leadership, and institutions needed to shape AI for the public good. The responsibility rightly belongs to all of us. Just as Get Ready said, everyone in this conversation, we are all responsible for it. So we would like to appreciate our guests. Thank you once again for joining us. Our wonderful guests joining us all the way from the United Kingdom, for sharing these insights and expertise with us. To everyone who joined us today, thank you for being part of another impactful FTLAfrica Global Hour. If today's discussion challenged your thinking, inspired new ideas, or strengthened your commitment to Africa's digital future, we invite you to take the next step, which is joining the AI Data Question ecosystem through November 8th, which is starting in September and closes September 8th. On my screen, you can see the link, or you can visit our website, www.FTLAfrica.org. We also encourage you to invite your friends, colleagues, students, and family members to become part of this growing community of African innovators and leaders. Today, we're not just preparing the future of AI, we are building it. We are building awareness. We are fact-checking it. We are skilling Africans, and we are developing our own systems. I'm not importing it. On behalf of the FTLAfrica ecosystem, our wonderful guest, I want to thank you for joining us. And before we leave, I'd like to give our guest the opportunity to say these few words to every one of us.
All right. So thank you so much. It's been an interesting minutes, hours talking to everyone. So yes, good. Thank you so very much. And yes, we could stay in touch. So if you feel like you need any further clarity on anything, yeah, so you could also reach out. My name is there, Olufemi Adenitan. So reach out so we could continue the conversation. And yes, I'm happy to stay in touch with the network, with the team. So yeah, so FTLAfrica has been a great time we've had today. Yeah, so let's continue this conversation. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can check LinkedIn. If you don't mind, can I drop your LinkedIn?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So on LinkedIn, he has his middle name. Yeah, so I will drop the link for us so you can follow him. Love is a lot. Look at all the flowers. Love is so much about the flowers. So on LinkedIn, you can follow him up so you get to see what he's up to and what he's discussing. And yes, we promised to talk about something. I don't think you have said it yet.
Yeah.
About an opportunity, right?
About the opportunity, yeah. So for those who are also interested in maybe I don't know what you're interested in, research, anything in forms of collaboration. So we could also open the links, right? So for I don't know particularly what's the demography in terms of the house and what's the what people are really looking at. If your goal is to maybe further your studies abroad and all of that, yes. Again, I said my links are open, so we could have a conversation around it. If you are looking for a postgraduate scholarship on some other kind of assistance, you would like me to have maybe kind of professional input, yes, you feel free. I'm also available, my same name, Adenitan Olufemi, on all social media. So we could maybe connect on that. And yes, I'll be very much happy to look at any of your questions and take feedback. Yeah, but opportunities are there for those who are interested in doing under the UKRI. You could also see the various opportunities to do your masters, to do PhDs are there. Yes, and also as a youth, continue to engage in this conversation, in this debate. Conferences are open, abstracts are open for call, and send in your abstract, write it, be critical. You would have opportunities to travel across the world to attend various conferences and participate in the debate. In general, don't be silent. Continue participate in the debate. I know that every one of us might be kind of more constrained. We may have various excuses, but don't allow those excuses to deter you or to stop you from having or for becoming part of the debate or becoming part of the discussion. So yes, so feel free. Let's reach out. Let's link up. Yeah. So that's how
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So on the chat, what you can see is LinkedIn. You can connect with him, and I know most of those opportunities you share with us, and we'll pass it over to the entire community. So follow him up on LinkedIn, and when you want to start a conversation, just say, I'm coming weekdays. I'm coming from FTLAfrica. I think that's really the best way to start a conversation. So if you make it, there'll be a foundation already for you to bank on. So, but more information, so we'll be getting more clarity and more detail from him, and we'll pass it to the entire community. It's
so just for clarity, UKRI is United Kingdom Responsible Innovation, like UKRI. So if you Google wherever you are, ESRC is also there. Yes, you could find so many kind of opportunities within that level. And the Google search word might also be very helpful. Yes, you could also navigate across. So there are various funding in US, Europe, North America, and Australia. You could find various opportunities, even conferences as well. And for those who are still within the youth bracket, I took part in various youth conferences under United Nations program. You could also participate in such, right? So under the I think there's some also under UNESCO as well. But if you reach out, then we could be able to look at some other ones, right? So what are the role model conference as well, the United Nations model conferences as well? You could participate and you bring in your insights from Africa, from Nigeria. It can also be very rich in how you present your ideas and all of that. But like I said, let's be part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So much. And see if you still have any questions to ask. If you are not, you can reach out to me or via him via me on his LinkedIn, or reach out to us, and we'll put all these questions, all these opportunities, and we'll take it over to him. And we know it will do justice to put a very good compilation for us to share with our community in FT Africa. So it's a beautiful time. I know some of us don't want to go any longer because we're enjoying the conversations already, but it's a beautiful time to draw the curtain on this Fireside 13. On behalf of FT Africa and our guests, I want to say thank you once again for joining us. Good evening. Stay curious, stay fact-checking, stay aware, stay informed. Let's continue building Africa's future through AI, innovation, and responsible ethical leadership. Bye for now, and God bless you. Thank you once again, our guest, for joining us.
Bye, everyone. Bye for now. I leave now.
From the roots of Africa's voice, we rise with power, purpose, and choice. In every code, in every dream, the future is ours, the vision supreme. Until Africa, till the thoughts the land, building bridges hard to have. Through the fires of thought we saw, together we lead forevermore.
This is the Africa Global Hour, where knowledge meets culture, and Africa's future takes shape.